Welcome to the Unlearning Labels podcast. Our mission is to support you to create inclusive and safe spaces for teams to feel valued and do their best work. In each episode, we explore the topics of diversity and inclusion, cultural change, and inclusive leadership development. For more information, visit our website at www.unlearninglabels.com. There you can read our blog articles, listen to previous episodes, and contact us to work with us directly. Now, enjoy the show. Today, we've decided, since we're on the eve of the 20th anniversary of September 11th, that it's only appropriate for the Unlearning Labels podcast to do a live. So, hello, Mira and Peter. You know, there's like so much going on right now, right? It's like we're in the United States is pulling out of Afghanistan. And it's a really bad transition. And it's looking different in the United States. So why don't we start out with how is it looking in Europe? And then we'll bring it into what organizations can do to facilitate conversations for people who may have relatives or who may be somehow affected by all of this.
The whole thing that is going on in the world definitely affects everyone, and it often brings our biases and our fears up, and we spend so much time at work, and it absolutely probably affects our relationships as well. But yeah, how does it look here?
I mean, from our limited view, it's upsetting. I can just say from my personal experience that I just find it deeply sad that the West has pulled out, and now it's a mess. And I'm just hoping that, especially the female population can find a way forward. And I'm amazed that they've actually risking their lives and they're, protesting and saying enough, we're not going to go back 20 years. But just aside from Afghanistan and the anniversary of 9/11, because I was in the air at the time, coming back with New Yorkers flying back from Reykjavik, and I'll never forget it. Like most people, it was a world-changing event. And I guess at this time, like with everything going on in the world, it just creates a lot of uncertainty. People get agitated, and me included, and I feel a bit nervous. I tend to switch the news off and not watch it. You can't escape it, right? We were talking before we recorded that I was asking Cordelia, had she seen this new documentary that was kind of talking about, what happened before and how 9/11 happened, now that they've got insights and, what's going to happen going forward. And I guess from our side, it's just in the work that we do with companies, we see innocently that leaders get uncomfortable, just like we all do, right? Because we don't see ourselves as experts. So we're like, how can we even talk about this stuff? But actually that can do more damage, because you don't need to know all the facts. And let's be honest, you probably know more than you think, because we're bombarded with so much information about all of these world events, right? So it's just creating a psychologically safe space where, you just say, look, I know things have gone on. How do you feel about it? And by the way, if you want to talk about it, I'm here, the door's open. But equally, if it's causing you to be a bit nervous and you're not sure, how to even put that into words, that's okay too. But I think shying away from it and ignoring it, I think that can, innocently or not, do quite a bit of damage. And that's what breaks and, it erodes through the trust that you would have in your teams and, organizations. And
yeah, it's. I think lots of people aren't even aware of how it affects them, but it's all over the news all the time. And I remember at the time when I think it was 2015, that when I arrived to Germany first time, and there was there was lots of refugees that were coming from Africa at the time and from Syria, and there was it was all over on TV and programs, and you could, we travel, and then you see people sleeping on the street with their bags and kids, and it was so, and even now thinking about it, so upsetting for me, because I come, you know, my background was as a refugee, and it brings all these fears and memories and everything back up, and I wasn't even aware of it at the time when it was happening. So I think it's not that people don't want to talk about it, it's people are just not aware of how that impacts everyone in a society. Or I can imagine, you know, fears of Muslim population, like they have something to do with that, you know. But I think it's that fear that you know, it's underlying it, and if we don't bring it up, if we don't open discussions and we don't create safe spaces, it can create some really toxic environments where some people are scared of retaliation and comments of other people. I mean, you know, there could be a person that just makes a stupid comment that otherwise nobody would pay attention to, but then somebody who is, say, Muslim, because they are scared of what may happen to them, gets really agitated, stressed, and, you know, affected by that comment. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that these things are not just happening to some people. I think it's happening in general in the society, and we all need to be aware of how we talk, what words we use, and how people around us may feel.
You know, like what I'm hearing overwhelmingly from the both of you is, in general, you never know what someone's going through. So just be kind, right? You know, as a Muslim, one of our, I guess, one of our habits is understanding that a smile is a charity, right? So, you know, if you don't have anything nice to say, just smile, smile and wave, you know, and that's a charity, and that can brighten up somebody's day, even your own, you know, because when you smile, there've been all these studies that it releases certain chemicals and it changes your physiology. Yeah. And from an energetic level, like whatever you're feeling, anyone you pass will feel that as well, you know? So, and, you know, it's interesting, Peter, that you started out by saying like 20 years ago, I was in the air, and I was like, where was I? So like, I was actually at work, you know? And the most interesting thing about this is I had become Muslim like 2 months before. So like in July of 2001, I became Muslim. Like I left on Friday dressed like you, Mira, and I came back on Monday dressed like this. And people were like, what happened to you? You know? And so then like on September 11th, like everything was cool the first day, right? Because no one knew anything. But September 12th, it was on, you know, it was like, and I got in an elevator because I worked on the 9th floor, you know, so it was like it was a thing. And, but I smiled and waved, you know, because there were idiots. And, you know, at the minimum, you know, I knew if I smiled, like you'd have to be one miserable individual to not smile back. And so on the topic of psychological safety, there you have it. You can smile, like really. And that might make it easier for you to have that conversation and hold space for a fellow coworker. So it's sometimes the simplest yet most human things that we do that can really connect hearts.
Absolutely.
You know what? Kindness is so important right now. I mean, there's always challenges, you know, with society and in the world. There's conflict, unfortunately. You know, it never stops, right? But when there's so much going on, and it feels like, correct me if I'm wrong, this month just feels like, what else, you know? Every time, I mean, we were watching the TV yesterday, and Mira and I got quite upset because, you know, my own country, and I'm proud to be British, by the way, but Brexit doesn't.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, but when I see the foreign minister, I won't name her, and she got enough airtime, but, you know, putting in a policy in place and really trying to turn back refugee boats in the English Channel. And I'm just like, wow, this isn't the country that I was born in, you know, that I'm proud of. This is really, it's very sad. And then the news tagline was 15,000 refugees. What a large amount. I'm like, 15,000 souls doesn't sound like a lot. We're a rich country. Why don't we just accept that they're here and let's not judge? And I think, although it sounds cliched and a bit cheesy right now, kindness is so underestimated. And especially if you're a leader right now, just as you say, it's such a powerful thing. You don't know how much of a positive impact you can have on someone's day just by coming in and smiling, even if you feel uncomfortable talking about current affairs, because we all do, me included. I'm no expert, right? But you don't have to start becoming a subject knowledge expert. You just have to be like, look.
Yeah, you don't need to have opinions.
Yeah, well, you can have an opinion if you want, but I guess what's going to be valuable, and this is what was valuable to me, is when people were just like, I'm listening. This is a safe space. I value you. I see you. You know, I'm part of the team. And if you want to talk about it, great. If you don't, doesn't matter. But I'm just here and I'm listening and I'm not ignoring you. Because I think the biggest thing is when people are ignored, that can do massive damage. And then if you feel isolated in your job, and let's be honest, because most people are working from home, that it's really difficult to feel part of things, even at the best of times. So for anyone listening, it's lead or not, just check in. You know, smile, just say to someone, you know, how are you today? You know, let's grab a virtual coffee. What do you think is going on in the world right now? Because I'm confused. And just having that wonderful human connection can be the difference between someone feeling completely isolated and hiding away and not knowing what to do. Right?
Maybe when these kind of events are coming, I mean, what we tend to do is we kind of speed up, and because we get so scared about future or what may happen, it's actually slowing down and reflect, and maybe in companies creating more time for these conversations and for your own, as if you're a leader, if you're a manager, if you're leading a team, you know, putting more emphasis on individual conversations with people, or putting in a little bit more team meetings where you don't just talk about work, but actually getting to know each other and what somebody's experience is and what they're doing. You know, you might have some amazing conversations where somebody is volunteering somewhere, where somebody is, you know, as an organization, as a team, you can create so much meaning for people where they can feel included to do something else as well. And so there is so much, not just preventing bad stuff happening, but there is so much opportunity to become, to bond more, to belong more, to feel more safe together.
I'm writing notes because this is really great, right? So far we've got smile, be kind, listen, start team meetings with connection. And number 5, guess what? Okay, so a lot of people don't know this. And when I go to my kids' schools and talk about September 11th, they don't let me do it this year because of COVID, right? So at, 9:30 a.m. on September 11th, the UN voted for the International Day of Peace to be September 21st. So for years, from like 1983, when we had that first tour in Lebanon, right? There was so much going on in the world, right? In the Middle East, and well, actually not just the Middle East, it was like everywhere, like, right? Central America, because I remember I was in school and there were refugees coming from everywhere. Anyway, so the third Thursday of September since 1983 had been the International Day of Peace. But because the third Thursday is kind of random, they said, look, we got to nail this down. And so that morning, like 40 minutes before I think the first plane hit, or maybe not even, maybe like 29 minutes before. I only know that because my kids came home with the timeline of what happened. Why are they teaching kids that? Anyway, they had decided that the International Day of Peace will permanently be on September 21st. So I'm bringing that up because this is an opportunity for organizations. If you go to internationaldayofpeace.org, you can say you can put up community events.
Yeah.
So, your organization, even if it's like just maybe you have a couple hundred people, you can have a community event to create peace in your community. And whatever peace looks like where you are is super important. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say why they're teaching kids all these details. And I think that also brings up lots of fear, I think we should learn about the impact of things. We should learn from history, but that's what really rarely happens. That's been my experience of war. I think what we are missing a lot and this is something that can be done in companies on a company level as well, is the reconciliation. And it has been done. And one of the reasons why, help me, a thought just escaped me, is it in Africa, there was a big, in 1994, there was a big genocide.
Rwanda?
Rwanda. I was saying Sudan, but no, you're right. Sudan was before or after
was
that.
It? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, in Rwanda, they accomplished amazing, like the results of what they've done is amazing. The people that were killing each other are now living together, and they're living even in communities together and helping each other. And is because they've done really strong, there was a strong campaign on reconciliation, and they brought people that were bringing this process of bringing peace and acknowledgement. So what is that essentially is acknowledgement of what happened and what was everyone's part in it. And then forgiveness, forgiving ourselves for what we've done and other people because they didn't know better at the time. And so it's done in South Africa as well, on the end of apartheid. And it's interesting, and they say that the reason why in America still the racial differences are so big is because it was never, and not just in Africa, I look at Europe as well, look at Denmark, no, not Denmark, sorry, Norway. It's actually never acknowledged. It's never done. It was always pushed away. It's not us. It's, we're just defending ourselves.
Or it didn't
was
happen.
In the past, it didn't happen. We are not like that anymore. But there is no feeling of safety. There is no, people cannot let go of the past until it's actually worked through. And so I think that's one of the things that companies can take on as projects within teams. These conversations, as you said, to be a little bit more structured and talked about things. And who knows when that can take all of us.
I'm so happy you brought that up, Mira, because exactly what you said, right? We coach companies, executive teams on these kind of things, and the system that you described that they used in Rwanda for the reconciliation is exactly coaching. You acknowledge, right? And then you forgive, and then you build habits to honor the values that you really want to perpetuate. And that is exactly coaching. And so, if you have challenges as an organization with reconciliation or with even facilitating these kind of conversations, that's the whole purpose of Unlearning Labels. It's not just a podcast. We actually do trainings for organizations and leadership teams. So I think that's a great place to stop. There's another reason why I liked your what you brought up, but it's political. So I don't know if we want to go there, do we?
No, maybe not, because I guess it detracts from what we're talking about.
Yeah,
again, there's a lot of politicalized things going on in the world right now, but we're not here to really propagate that any further. What we're saying is just allow open dialogue in your teams and you'll be amazed. That's what we're pointing at, right? You know, even if you don't need to work with us right now and things are relatively okay, if you want to keep that going and you want to create that psychological safe space and, you know, make it more organic and natural, just allow open dialogue. You don't, as Mira pointed to before, what I see teams and organizations innocently doing sometimes is, no, we can't talk about anything that's not work related. And actually, what gives people a vent and makes them feel safe, and, you know, if there is a bit of anxiety, is just letting it go, letting it all come out. And quite often during COVID, one of the things that teams were asking us, right, was what can we do to make people feel more inclusive now that we're all remote? And I'm like, well, just hold space and listen to people. You know, put in a few hours during the week, during the month, where you just talk about whatever people want to get off the chest. And the transformation happens. And actually the learning that we all learn when people are just open to just listen to each other, that's when, you know, what we're pointing at is you learn a lot about your colleagues. And actually going forward, when you have to do the hard work and when things get challenging, you know people at more of a granular level. You know, they tick, you know what makes them light up, you know, a bit about the family. And luckily you can see a bit about the family when you join the calls, you know, on Zoom, because you can see the kids running around. And that's it, just hold those spaces. And that's literally what psychological safety looks like. It's just being okay if you're the facilitator. It is a bit scary because you're like, oh, what's going to happen? You know, can I really just let it all hang out? But actually, the more you do that, even though it looks like a mess, the better that the more serious business meetings get when you actually get to do that, right? And that's all we're saying, right?
Yeah, that's where the depth is. So, in summary, creating safe spaces is quite simple. You smile, be kind, listen, have a bit of free talk in your team meetings, perhaps create an International Day of Peace on September 21st, community event, and be okay with being human and just relax. So I'm happy we decided to do this. I know it was like super quick and last minute, but I just thought, yeah.
It's been a great conversation. And I think the more, again, we're putting our money where our mouth is, right? We're having a spontaneous dialogue, even though, you know, we're a bit confused by all of the world events. So, you know, we're often talking, you know, behind the scenes, say, what do you make of that, Cordelia Mira? What the hell is going on right now? I don't know, you know. And actually it feels nourishing, right? You feel safer just for getting it off your chest, you know, versus just watching the news in isolation and sitting in the feedback loop of fear and anxiety.
And people that are in fear from, you know, they are experiencing fear right now because there is, again, you know, it's news are bringing it up, so they have something to talk about as well. You know, lots of these stories are coming up, and lots of scary stories are coming up. They are triggering something in individuals that have been through it or are scared of retaliation, or, you know, all of it. So whether you had somebody who lost their life in the events, or you are scared for your own safety because you're on the wrong side of religion or whatever, you know, or so you. And so you might be surprised that when you talk about these things, about how many people around you who are different than you, that will be supporting, that will be helping you, that they're going to, because they know you.
Yeah.
We feel safe. And that's the one rule about humans. Well, not just about humans, about all species, I think. We feel safe in the environment that we know. And in companies, in organizations, especially in the large ones, if we don't know the environment, and it's not just physical environment, but it's also people that we spend most of our days with. Even a CEO that we see maybe once a year, if we don't know that person, not their name and their title, but the person, we won't feel safe around them. And that's it, as simple as that. So the more we get to know about each other, the more we get to know each other's stories, and the safer we are around it. Doesn't matter how different we are, because once we get to know each other, we are not different anymore. Once you have a conversation with somebody who's totally different with you, you'll go, actually, we're not so different. You know, those differences are just, they become invisible.
Well, they become like more reasons to be more curious and enjoy someone's company. Yeah. I mean, like us, right? We met a year ago. Can you believe that? That's just crazy. So, and, but I feel like I know you more than some people I've known for like 20 years, you know? So it's just the more you know someone, the more you trust them, the more you love them. And, you know, in the way that human hearts should be connecting.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm getting to tear now. But it's really true. I mean, we make it so complicated, you know, but it's really true. The more we know each other, the more the safer we feel, and that's it. You know, we can, like, I was listening to some story on TV, and they're trying to figure out why are people becoming refugees? Why are they running away from the places where they lived? And then you see all these weird comments, and so, like, you know, they just don't like this or that. Like, who in their right mind would leave the house, leave if they felt safe and comfortable and knew that they had future over there? You know, nobody.
Yeah, pay a people smuggler to send them over the channel.
And potentially lose life in the process. Yeah,
it's not easy. Yeah, it's so not easy. I just, you know, I remember some of my schoolmates, you know, like when I was in high school, they were like, when they told me just a little bit of their story, and they were keeping a lot back, right? I was just like, I can't even believe we're the same age, you know? It's like...
There was a conversation we had a couple of months ago with on the Mind Takeaway podcast.
Yeah, I remember. That was a good one. Yeah,
with the two sisters.
Twins. Yeah, the sisters.
Yeah, they were refugees from Albania. Yeah. And they were about the same age at the time when they left. Same age as I was.
You?
Oh, wow. Yeah. And it was so interesting because we recorded that conversation, and it was just, you know, just really amazing. And then Peter's mom listened to that conversation and said, you know, I've never knew some of these things. I mean, she knows a lot, and she's very, you know, she's an amazing woman with friends from all over the place, and really easy to connect with. And she said, but some of the things I never thought about it, never came up in conversations, never, you know. And she said, now I understand why Mira sometimes does this or says that, or, you know, and it's true, you know, we can't understand somebody's behavior if we don't know them, if we don't know their story.
Yeah. And it just reminds me that it's all about increasing your own awareness, and that actually will help you carry you forward and be more safe, because we kind of fear what we don't understand, and we're all guilty of it. You know, it's our own blind spots that every single human being has. But, you know, as we've touched on here, the more I'm just willing to get into dialogue with someone that I'm not really understanding, or I'm uncomfortable with, maybe, you know, initially because I just don't know them, and then I'm gifted with, wow, I've never thought about stuff like that. Wow, I've learned about their culture, or, you know, how they got to where they were. And that's it. I'm just deeply curious now, and I just want that. You know, I guess that's what we do, right, in our work at Unlearning Labels. But we just want to give the gift of curiosity to everyone else, whether it's a team, an organization, an individual. The more that you ask questions, okay, I want to know about what makes you tick. You know, what kind of food you have, where did you come from? And if you do it under that loving lens and you're listening to someone, you can't not, you know, increase the safety of your own team. You know, and it shouldn't always fall to the leader, right? Because we hear this and this, you know, it's the CEO's fault or it's my boss's fault. But actually, I feel like we're all responsible. If everyone in the team, you know, right out the gates, like, okay, let's listen to each other. Let's get curious about what makes us tick. Work aside, when you do the hard work, I'd hazard a guess that that's probably where the high performance will come in. Because people are like, oh, I've got your back. I know you. We've been, we've had food in the break before. We've actually brought in food from our own house, and I know you've got kids, and I know what makes you tick. You're more likely to actually do something that's more challenging together, or at least that's been our experience, right?
Yeah, because the way to someone's heart is through their stomach.
Yeah, it is mine for sure. Yeah.
But it's true. It's high performance comes from it. People want to support each other. They care about results because these results are helping somebody else that is part of their team. And I remember I was working with a team this summer, and their sports team, and it says, it's not so much like when we lose, it's I don't care so much about myself, but my teammates and how they feel, because I didn't perform well. So I always want to perform well. So, they win, they're part of the team, and it's important for everyone. So, so the more we know each other, the more we understand each other, overall performance of the individuals, but overall performance is also much I wouldn't say stronger. What would be the word for us non-English speakers?
Well, I know, like, I'm hearing it creates more synergy, and
then results, obviously,
and results, so bottom line is through the roof, and that's what it's really all about, right? So if you really want to make more money in your business, in your organization, then create synergy by connecting hearts and listening to your people.
Yeah, but that's what diversity and inclusion looks like. If you want inclusivity in your team, if everyone's listening to each other and embracing all of the wonkiness and the differences, and why we all wear different clothes and we all like different food, that's what a real team looks like. That's the reality of a really inclusive and safe space looks like. It doesn't require a big clunky project to get that going, right? It's just like, wow, I'm embracing it, because I don't know about
it needs some guidance sometimes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But, I don't know about anyone watching this or listening. It's just, I kind of see it boring if everyone's a mirror of me, because I know I can get on my own nerves, So it's nice to have a different opinion and see things through a different lens. And also I know that, I can get stuff wrong, and, I can annoy other people. So again, when you're with a group of diverse thinkers, and all that means is you're just listening to another human's opinion, those diverse thinking point, or whatever they're coming from, it's just because it's coming from an individual other than me. So that's the beauty of it, right? And that's what I think high performance looks like, because you're not relying on just one feedback loop of information. You're like, okay, what do you think? Because I've got no idea. Oh, right. Okay, you've got a really good way of looking at it, because from where you come from, I just would never have spotted that. And that's what we're pointing to, right? That the more you're listening to each other in a team and an organization, that's where all the answers lie. They don't lie outside your team. It probably, I'd hazard a guess, you'd probably get more answers from speaking to the person next to you.
Yeah. So experiment with that. Definitely.
Cool.
So, yeah. Well, thank you guys for indulging me, and, let's just hop on today and, close out your day with me in this way. So, and for those of you who are watching and listening, if you gain benefit, sharing is loving. So share this with another heart. And if you'd like to know more about what we do, visit here on LinkedIn. We have a page called Unlearning Labels. And we also have a website called unlearninglabels.com. So do connect with us in both places.
Yeah, absolutely. If this conversation sparked something in you, and you would like to know more about it, or just have a chat about it with us, we are open to it.
So if it just piques your curiosity, reach out to us and get into dialogue.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Unlearning Labels podcast. If you would like help addressing any of the topics we explored during the show, such as diversity and inclusion, cultural change, or inclusive leadership development, contact us at www.unlearninglabels.com. Thank you, and sharing is loving. So share this with another heart and with another mind.